Tell me about what inspired you to move from London, UK, back to Poland. What was the reason behind it?
So I got to correct you there.
Okay,
and
please
people
do.
often say, so why did you come back? But I never came back. Coming back implies that I was here in the first place. I was never here in the first place. I was born in the United States, Detroit, Michigan, in 1999, to two Polish parents. My dad won a green card just through a lottery. He got lucky. He went to the States. So I was born there, lived there for 4 or 5 years, and then we went straight to the UK, and I lived my whole childhood there, my schooling years, growing up, puberty, girls, all that stuff. So through ages 5 to 20, I was in the UK. And only in 2020, essentially when the pandemic just broke out, we moved to Poland. And I say we as a family, me and my parents. So obviously I'm of the generation, we lived with our parents very long. So when I was 20, I was still with my parents. And they'd had enough of the UK. And they're like, let's go back home. So they were going back. But I was accompanying them. And I said, all right, I'm going to come with you. I don't really have a plan. But nothing really is going for me here in the UK. So let's see.
I didn't know that. Interesting. So you've built, in the span of 2 years, an impressive following of 1.5 million. All right, am I correct?
Yeah, summing up all
so
platforms.
how did you achieve this feat?
Well, some people also say 2 years, but honestly, I've been doing this for a long time.
Okay.
So I've been making content since I was 11 years old, I think. And it all started with just picked up my dad's laptop, opened it up, went on YouTube, record a video, and I was just talking about absolutely nothing, to be honest. Nothing of substance, nothing interesting, but something just drew me to being in front of a camera and expressing myself and trying to be funny or, I don't know, inspire someone, make someone laugh. And I've been just, that passion for that has lived in me ever since that moment. And I've been doing it on and off. It's not been like a consistent grind, but it's been many, many tries and fails and a lot of rebranding. So I haven't always been the English teacher. I used to be a rapper, in fact.
Wow.
I was like 16, 17. I wanted to be a rapper. I've done like funny comedy vlogs, stuff like that. I've tried podcasting like yourself, like you're doing here right now, doing a great job.
Thank you.
But I've done it all. And it's only kind of all those trials and errors stand behind my success today. So I would say it's a combination of experience, knowing how to create some good content, but also I guess a bit of luck, time and place. I came to Poland and I saw that there's a massive information gap here.
Correct.
And we know social media, we live in the digital era now, and it's the information, what do you call it? Information economy.
Yes.
And so when there's an information gap, you can really capitalize, not only with attention, but money too. And I think it started there. I just started teaching English in a country where people were lacking good, let's say, English teachers, or even good information from trustworthy people about the English language.
So before we jump into that, I want to know, because it's interesting to me, about your experience of moving, not coming back, moving to Poland.
Yes.
I want to know about these first days, because you grew up in the US, UK, so there is essentially a different, world and lifestyle. So how did you cope with that?
So obviously we have to take into account that the pandemic was happening in the background.
True.
And that will like...
That's made your life harder, I guess.
Definitely. That will forever taint any picture and change what would have happened because it was in the pandemic, So that changed everything. We know that. But honestly, it wasn't so bad. I came to a nice house, a house bigger than I had ever lived in before. So I was like, okay, Poland's pretty cool. I saw the city. I started going to the gym as soon as it opened. But before that, even though I was in Poland, I spent a lot of time in the digital world because my generation.
Right.
So I didn't even feel like I was in Poland until things started opening back up. But the culture shock, it wasn't massive or anything, just because I am actually Polish. Like, those are my roots. So I've got the language part down a little bit. But probably the biggest struggle was language. Yeah.
You mean Polish language?
Yeah, I mean the Polish language.
So you obviously speak Polish, I guess. But how is your Polish? Is it like I can also tell, to be honest. Now we've spent so many years there. So can Polish people spot that you didn't grow up here?
I think right now, no. But when I initially moved, probably definitely, people would pick up on something was off. Something was a bit different. This kid's from somewhere, and it's not here. Languages, they're very interesting, how you can just take two languages and like mix them. A guy who's from China and speaks Chinese could come to Poland. He has to learn Polish, but his whole Chinese accent is now going to like impact the way his Polish sounds. Right. And there's a specific kind of sound that the Polish language has when you grow up speaking English. It just sounds a bit like an American way of speaking English. So Polish, but I think now no, but I still really mess up with the grammar sometimes. It's tricky, man.
It is a hard language.
It's
I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
So did you find like any challenges to adapt in these first days, or you just came in and like, okay, I guess my life here is in Poland now?
No massive challenges, because I think mindset, it's all about mindset. And if you can, prepare yourself for something in your mind, then you can be ready for when that challenge comes. And I said, you know what, I'm going to be open-minded, and I'm just going to see what opportunities are presented to me. This is a fresh start for me. And that's really what it was. It was a fresh start, opportunity to reinvent myself. So no massive challenges, to be honest.
So would you say that moving to Poland has changed your life so far?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can quote me on this. I think I said this in a speech recently, that it's been like the most impactful decision I've made, not only for my personal life, but for my professional life. And I mean that in a positive way, a positive impact.
Thank you, Poland.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Poland. Big
Welcome
time.
to my country. It's my country.
Yeah.
So you came here, pandemic, and you're like wondering. So were you like study at the university at that time? Because you were like 20, yeah? So you were at the university, I guess.
So I went to uni in London for like a year, and then never finished. I ended up dropping out. To be honest, something about me, I've never been a big fan of the formal education route. Never was like a great student. I was always, my teachers always said about me, he's very bright, but he's not capitalizing on that potential. He gets easily distracted. He talks in class. He doesn't put in the effort. So my mind was always elsewhere, and I knew, this doesn't excite me, and I want to do what excites me. So I did go to uni for music business. I told you I wanted to be a rapper, so that kind of continued. But I dropped out because I just wasn't a big fan of the course. So at that time, I wasn't doing anything. I was just working at a restaurant in the UK. But when I moved to Poland, I did end up signing up to enrolling in a university. My parents said, if you want to live with us, then you got to study. So it's that Polish narrative coming back of, you need to have a master's degree to get somewhere in life. That's kind of like a cloud that followed me throughout my whole life. The whole family just, you need to study, you need to get qualifications, degrees. I never wanted to do it. It was never in my heart. But I did end up doing it. And I finished just to have it off my back. Just got, what do you call it? Bachelor's degree. That's it. I said, I'm not doing anymore. In management, something like that. But even after going through the path of studying, I can still confirm it's not for me. It's not for me.
It's funny, man. It kind of reminds me of my story, because I have similar parents, same idea, get the master, get this, get that. And I did, okay, fine, I'll do the bachelor. And when I finished it, I came to Poland. Mm-hmm. And I had this internship for 6 months, and I knew that like this program was installed in my mind. I have to go back, finish the master's, and then I can take or make some decisions. But then I'm like, I'm staying here, so I gotta do something. So that's what it's gonna be my next question. You're here, you studied, you finished your studies, and you're like, okay, I got to do something. Let's talk about this market gap you mentioned in the beginning. You said that, okay, I need to teach English. What was going on in your mind?
So at heart, I've always been a content creator, right?
Okay.
And I think my brand or my content has always been a reflection of whatever's going on in my life or my interests at the time. And that's a tip for personal branding.
All right.
I think the brand should be a reflection of you, and you shouldn't be a reflection of the brand in a sense that you should come first. That's why the first word is personal brand. And so just naturally coming to Poland, people were interested in me because I was what you would call a native speaker. I had never heard of that term, maybe once, but it wasn't important in England. No one says he's a native speaker. No, we all just speak English, pretty much. I was in that kind of environment. But then you come to Poland and you're like a unicorn. You're so valuable because you can speak English and with a nice accent, and you know how to speak correctly. And that draws a lot of attention. And you've got this label, native speaker. So naturally, that was like something playing in my mind, and I was curious about that. And at one point, I must have just said, all right, let me try and make some content around this. This could be a path to go towards, especially because I'm also kind of a teacher at heart. I love teaching. I do. And I don't think I'll be an English teacher forever, but I'll probably move on to teaching other things. I do like teaching and passing on information in a way that's very digestible for the other person. And so I combine all these things, the content creation, which I love to do, the rising interest in English, that this could be some potential thing to explore, like I'm suddenly valuable just because I speak English. And I put all of that together. And actually, I was on a university campus when I recorded the first video. I said, let's walk around with a camera. I had my friend just get involved. I said, let's just ask Polish students to read out these English words and let's see if they can pronounce them. And we got lucky. The first video went quite viral. Yeah, viral on TikTok. And as you would say, the rest is history. Because from that point, I had the momentum to like, okay, this is who I can be now.
What year was that?
That was 2022, I believe.
Wow. So 2 years. So that was the first video.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it, guys. If you stayed till the end, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you would like to learn more or discover more, you can click right here on this video to enjoy more authentic and honest stories. Thank you so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you soon.